alive. It's moving. It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the return of the Bronx Muchachos podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and alongside me is my co-host, Dave, and our special guest and good friend, Jeremy Laracuenta. We're excited to be back after taking a year off. Had a few personal issues along the way. Everyone had to get some things done on their own side, but we're back and ready to rock and roll, starting in this offseason, rocking into the 2026 season. And just for everyone to know, we're now on the Baseball Banter Broadcast Network family. So, guys, let's get this thing started.
Yeah, man, it's great to be back. We missed all of you. The four of us had a lot going on in our own lives that, like Mark said, we had to get handled outside of Yankees baseball. So we decided to take some time off, took a year off to figure some things out. But we're back, and we talked, decided it was time to bring the old show back. So to all of our OG listeners and viewers, welcome back. To all the new ones that we're going to get along the way, welcome in. You're in for a wild ride with us. So yeah, well, let's go. Let's get into it.
Absolutely.
So, if I can find
the big news, in case anybody's been living underneath a rock right now, it has been that Trent Grisham has accepted the qualifying offer. $22 million, takes a beautiful torpedo into the offseason that we know of. I mean, and some of and it's not like we can trade him right off the bat. You can't trade Trent Grisham until June 15th. So he's going to be here, and the problem is going to be that they still want Cody Bellinger. They still have a lot more They still have a lot of issues to take care of. Especially they need a first baseman. Whether or not they're going to put Ben Rice there and have Austin Wells as the primary back catcher, or they move on if they have Rice as the primary catcher, they need a first baseman, especially since JT Rumsfeld was not protected in the Rule 5 draft. So for those who are under a rock for that, they only protected three guys. Surprise, surprise! It was Spencer Jones, it was ERC. And it was I'm drawing a blank on the third one. I want to say LeGrand it was Hampton. Yes, Hampton. Mr. Glass. So that's the only youngsters we've protected. So yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, and Cashman needs to be very creative this offseason in order to possibly stay underneath the self-mandated Hal Steinbrenner, so I don't use up all my trust fund money, $305 to $310 million. So, first off, Jeremy, why don't we throw it to you? What do you think of Trent Grisham accepting the offer? Because I personally thought that he would have taken a long-term deal, especially with a lockout looming on the horizon, that he would take the guaranteed money of, say, 3 years, $45 million or something along those lines. But let me know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, so we had this conversation beforehand, through our chats and on the channel when we did our off-season plan video. But I didn't want the Yankees to even extend this offer because I had the looming suspicion that he was going to take this deal, right? So when you add up what Grisham has earned throughout the course of his career, it's about $23 million. This 1 year is essentially going to match his entire career earnings. and there was no guarantee that he was going to see a long-term deal. Like you said, the looming potential lockout that's on the way kind of leaves things up in the air, right? So even if he doesn't go out and replicate, which obviously I don't think anybody genuinely believes he's going to be able to replicate a 34 home run campaign, but even if he doesn't do that, this contract is going to set him up in a way that I don't necessarily think he was going to get on the free agent market. I think that, he may have gotten a 3-year deal, but I don't think he was going to come close to $15 million a year. If you think about the salary that he's made prior to this offer, this qualifying offer, it was no more than $5 million. So I think that teams were going to be a little bit more leery about the fact that, yes, it was somewhat due to a hamstring thing, but his defensive metrics went down. This was, to me, a blip on the radar. We've seen guys have that 1-year absolute just splurge offensively and then never, ever approach that again. And I think that's what the Yankees are going to see now with Trent Grisham. I think they thought, like you thought, that he was going to, decline the offer, go out there and try to get a multi-year deal with that impending lockout. But for me, it was too big of a risk, and the reward just wasn't enough with a 4th-round pick in the draft as compensation if he did leave. To me, it just wasn't worth the risk.
Yeah. I had a gut feeling myself that he was going to take it just because there weren't a lot of teams out there that need center field help. And if he went somewhere else, he's probably a 4th outfielder at that. Like Jeremy was saying, he's made $5 million a year for the last 2 seasons. Why wouldn't he take $22 million for 1 year? Like, he would have to be completely out of his mind not to do it. I'm not so much sold on the fact that he can't replicate this again, because we saw what happened when he played every day. I mean, beginning of the season, he was on fire. And for me, honestly, I think he fits this team well. I mean, not to compare him to Bernie Williams by any stretch of the imagination with the batting average, but he plays solid defense. He gets clutch hits. I would like to see him steal more bases. He only had 3 stolen bases this year, but the batting average just wasn't there. He strikes out way too much. I mean, his walks to strikeout ratio is 82 walks to 137 strikeouts. I'd like to see that come down this year, but overall, yeah, this torpedoes our offseason plans completely, because right now with Grisham accepting that deal puts our budget now at $284,238,333. Our competitive balance tax base is negative $40.238 million in the hole. So that money is getting split up to all the other low budget teams in the league. And I'm afraid what this does as far as J-Dom's playing time goes, how it affects eventually trying to call up Spencer Jones, how it affects signing Bellinger or going after Kyle Tucker, which we'll talk about later. But on one side, we're getting back a player we already know, but on the downside, it affects long-term plans as well as, short-term plans. But I really don't know where Cashman pivots from here. I have a feeling that he's going to be dollar bin diving at the Dollar General for spare parts and reclamation projects. Unfortunately, might see Ryan Yarbrough come back as the number 5 starter, like Mark was saying last week, at $750,000. Yeah, it is what it is at this point. So it's just going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. So, So moving on to the next topic, unless anyone else has anything else to add about this.
Nah, like I said, I was not a fan of giving him that offer, and it just didn't turn out so well as far as what we were hoping would happen.
Yeah. So moving on, the captain's been in the news this week with coming out and saying that he would love to run it back with the same team as this past season. I don't really like the captain of a team getting involved in front office affairs. We see it in the NBA with LeBron James all the time, and it's absolutely annoying. You're paid $40 million a year to play baseball. No disrespect, Cap, but just go play baseball and let the boys in the ivory tower worry about those types of things. I can understand why he's saying it. You want to be a good teammate. When you're the captain of a team, you can't just come out and say, yeah, this team sucked. I want a new team. Get rid of these guys. Like, you're going to be a good teammate and prop up the 25 guys around you. But at the same time, it's like you're paid an exorbitant amount of money to just hit a ball. Just do that and stick to it, please. You didn't see Jeter do this. You didn't see, Mattingly do this. But I guess times have changed.
But I do have one thing to say about the Judge thing. It seems like all the moves he's trying to do don't really work out. Starting off with Anthony Volpe, he was Volpe's biggest supporter to have him come up. We all saw what happened with Verdugo, that debacle. We've seen what's happened with Goldschmidt. Now he wants Bellinger, and he wants Bellinger. LeMahieu, yeah, you're 100% right, Jeremy. Goldschmidt. It's funny, he wanted all those pieces, but you know who he didn't reach out for? Is that he never reached out to Juan Soto to get Juan Soto to come back.
So he actually did. Soto changed his number.
He did change his number, but Judge announced also, he goes, no, I'm staying out of the Juan Soto free agency also. Like, he said that. So at that point, like, if you're going to put yourself out there to get Verdugo, you're going to put yourself out there for right now Grisham and Bellinger and all. Why weren't you putting yourself out there for Juan Soto after you saw yourself have pretty damn well historic seasons, a unanimous MVP with Juan Soto hitting in front of you? That was your back-to-back, the best thing we've seen, the Yankees have seen since Mantle and Maris. And what happened? You didn't even make your attempts to bring back a guy in his literal prime, a 26-year-old who could then turn around. So I'm Dave, like you said before, and we've talked about this a bunch of times. Judge, I don't want to say it's stay in your lane, but Judge was giving, I think Hal needs to understand, because it all falls on Hal because he's an absentee landlord. Let's just in the right perspective here. Hal needs to really get forward and really just start getting everybody, all the ducks in a row, and understand, like, yeah, everyone answers to me, but there's got to be a way that everyone goes there, because he's kind of doing what George Steinberg used to do back in the day in like the 90s and the 80s, which is just everyone just talking to him, everyone giving him the ideas and just going all different directions. But Judge needs to turn around and focus more on getting the team right and leading the team, and not worrying about not worrying about everything behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see the point of that, of not having
his moves behind the scenes are not helping out the.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that his interference sometimes doesn't play to the best, right? So it doesn't necessarily play to the getting the best players on the team. It's more so the guys that he's the closest with, right? Is the guys that he tends to advocate for the most. But I think that when you think about what this team could be, getting another, tremendous player, in front of him, protecting him in that lineup, kind of forcing teams to have to pitch to him, it's something that can, be different. And to Mark's point, not advocating for the guy that gave him the best level of protection in forcing them to have to pitch to him because Soto was always on base ahead of him, is something that, definitely could have played out very differently for us, especially this past year.
Yeah, but I just don't think anything was bringing Soto back. He was going to go to the highest bidder no matter what.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, when you think about what he was looking for the highest total number and the most perks. So,
yeah. And I mean, the fact that he went to Queens over, $5 million in an extra year? Like, Really, bro? And now he's like hating his life. Hey, man, karma's you know what sometimes. So I mean, you just got to make the bed that you sleep in, and it's not like he can opt out and they can go grab him as a free agent because, like you and I were talking about earlier, all the Mets have to do is just add $4 million over the remainder of the contract, and the opt out is voided. So, yeah. So it's aggravating.
Yeah.
So, well, Mark is experiencing some technical difficulties, so we'll bring him back once he gets situated. But do you think Judge's comments negatively impact the team?
I don't think so, because I think the comments that he's making is to advocate for his guys, right? So as the captain of the team, as the leader of the team, you want to go and protect your players. You want to go and, go to bat for them. And that's what he does. And that's what he does to absolutely the best of anybody in the league, in my opinion, right? Because when you think about like what we were just talking about, advocating for Alex Verdugo, who's clearly wasn't doing what he needed to do as a player, clearly wasn't hitting to the level of capabilities that we had seen him to do prior, right? Advocating for the young player that grew up a Yankee fan, that grew up, idolizing Derek Jeter and trying to be like him, right? And follow in those footsteps. He's advocating for those guys. So you're protecting your players. And that's what you expect the captain to do, especially a captain like Aaron Judge. So I don't think that it impacts necessarily the team, because he's doing his job and standing up for them. But what I do think it impacts is the team that's on the field, right? So like we talked about, the fact that Verdugo should not have been in the lineup, right? Volpe this past year, there was plenty of times that he needed to be pulled from the lineup. LeMahieu before that. So Judge is advocating for these guys and doing his job as the leader, which is why the clubhouse rallies around him, which is why the team, speaks so highly of him. But sometimes it can be to the detriment of the team that's actually on the field. And I think that's where, like you and Mark were saying about, Judge kind of having to take a step back from all these, playing the advocate for everybody and pulling for everybody just because they're his friends, and looking at what's going to be the best product on the field, the best way to win. And to me, that's going to be the more important factor to all of it.
Yeah. So that being said, let's talk about our illustrious absentee owner, Mr. Hal Steinbrenner. Obviously, with the budget constraints that he is self-imposing on this organization for whatever God-known reason, do you think now he authorizes a higher budget to stay competitive?
So it's going to be hard for him to look at this team the way that for us to look at this team the way that he's operated the past few years and think that he's just going to sign off on going crazy with the budget, right? Because yes, he went above and beyond what anyone thought he was going to do for Juan Soto, right? Nobody thought the Yankees were going to be in at $760+ million. Like, nobody thought that, right? And any fan that tells you that he thought Hal was going to go to that level, absolutely lying. But I don't see him going for the players that are available in this market, right? When you think about the best available free agent right now is Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker could easily be that left-handed combination with Judge that could put this team into a position where they're much more successful, right? If you go through and you think about what the boss would have done, he would have gone out and Tucker, right? This wouldn't have been
Soto.
Right. Well, he would have.
Well, yeah, there wouldn't have been any room, but you get my point.
The boss would have gotten Soto. That's without a question. But if you look at this offseason, he would have gone and got both. Because realistically, Trent Grisham probably would not have gotten the qualifying offer, because he would have been like, no, we're going to go get these two guys. So there's going to be no space for him, right? So if you think about what this team would have been under the boss, it would have been Tucker in left, Bellinger in center, right? And probably Pete Alonso at first, right? Because the boss would have been crazy, right? And seeing how the Dodgers have been spending the last few years, he absolutely would not tolerate losing the way that we lost that 2024 World Series. So he would have gone crazy these past 2 off seasons. But I have a very hard time seeing how kind of unleash the reins on the wallet and the checkbook and be like, all right, let's go crazy. And like you said, the qualifying offer being accepted by Grisham throws a wrench into everything. No matter what they come out and publicly say, like, oh yeah, we're still gonna be spending regardless of him coming back. No, Trent Grisham accepting that qualifying offer throws a monkey wrench into all of it, absolutely everything. There's no doubt in my mind that they were hoping and praying he was not taking that offer, that they could get the pick, and that would be the end of it. But he had other plans.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why I do this to myself. Maybe because I just am stuck in my old late 90s, early 2000s feelings and hoping that he will just spend the damn money, because the Red Sox are going to spend this offseason. The Blue Jays are going to definitely spend this offseason with, like, they came within a spike's length of winning their first World Series in 32 years.
Yep.
So I just can't fathom that they just be like, all right, we signed Grisham and this is where it's going to stop. Like, there will be upheaval in Yankees land if we go through signing Trent Grisham and then just signing a bunch of minor league free agents with invites to spring training and hope to God they catch some kind of lightning in a bottle. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree. And I think it goes back to a couple of things that you've said before, in the fact that when you look at what Cashman likes to do, and this is something I've said before, he likes to try to be the smartest guy in the room, right? So he likes to try and catch those lightning in a bottle situations, right? Then you're also going to hear how, as you complaining about before, in the middle of June, talking about
I don't know why the fans are mad. We're doing just fine. No, dude.
Like absolutely the fans are mad, right? And losing out on, the types of free agents this offseason that could help this team get back to not just being in the World Series, but winning a World Series for the first time since 2009. You have to look at that and question, what's it going to take to get it done? What's it going to take to put us over the edge? And I don't know that Hal's going to be the one to sign off on those things that have to happen to get us there.
Well, you got to do something, because now you got issues on the defensive side of the ball. Not only that, you have Cole, Schmidt, and Rodon that aren't coming back until mid-season. So now you got to replace 3 starting pitchers somehow. And I hope the fact that ERC blows the doors off in spring training and makes his way in as the number 5 starter behind Schlittler at 3 or 2, depending on how this spring training goes. But yeah, I just don't see us just sitting back and just going, oh, this is fine. We got our guy. Moving on.
See, but that's the crazy part. While, yes, thinking about it, it shouldn't be that way. But you can also see a reality where Al makes it that way, right? Where Grisham re-signing is like, oh, we have our center fielder. We're going to give Jason Dominguez every opportunity to be the everyday left fielder. Like, no, you're not. Like, you're going to pick up a scrap heap that's going to platoon with him like they did with Slater. Why was he even on this team?
I don't know. Like, I asked this, I was like, who the hell is Austin Slater? And why are we trading for him? He was batting like 214. I'm like, this is not going to work. Like,
right-handed, he hit
F is making these decisions.
He hit lefties. That's why he was on the team.
I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
You're a 32-year-old journeyman that bats 214. Get lost. Go play in Kansas City, where that's acceptable.
I get the idea of getting those platoon advantages, right? But you're not going to out Tampa Bay Rays the Rays, right? So you can't play that game with them. Like, this is the Yankees. They go out and they get the best players. And that's something that they have not been doing for the last several years, right? You think about it, yes, they went out and gave a big contract to Max Fried. Before that was Cole. Obviously, re-signing Judge was a big deal. But and this has been something that's been mentioned throughout, different avenues and stuff like that. But the Yankees have seemingly lost the allure. They've lost, the weight that the pinstripes once held. And that's something that I feel like we have to get back to. And the only way to do that is Hal's got to loosen up that checkbook and start throwing out some major money.
And then you see rumors out there today that they're looking to re-sign Devin Williams for 3 years at $45 million. I'm like, did anyone see what just took place last season? I mean, granted, once they moved into the 8th inning, he was fine, but I don't want to be having a heart attack I don't want to be seeing Clay Holmes 2.0 anymore. I don't want to have to watch us kick ass for an entire game and then collectively have to hold our breath and pray to baseball Jesus that the bullpen doesn't come in and take a dump on the mound. Like, I don't want to see that. I just don't. Go play in Miami.
Well, they need a lot. Well, they need to work the bullpen. They need to get a lot of bullpen help. They can't.
They re-signed Tim Hill,
Mark Leiter Jr.
Yeah,
the bullpen. That's always something that Hal will turn around and put his hat on that one. Cashman will say, "Oh, that's a deal we needed to make." But we need more. You need guys that can rear back and throw. You need 100-mile-an-hour guys in the bullpen because there's no reason to turn around and have bullpens that are throwing low to mid 90s anymore,
and that are contact pitchers.
I don't understand that part of what the Yankees are trying to do, and hopefully with Dotel, yeah. But I hope with the Duvall that with Duvall that he actually that they're working with him right now to figure out how to get his stuff working because he's got great stuff, but he's got zero command. And if he can't command the fastball, he can't command his pitches. He's absolutely useless to this team.
So totally off topic, but do we think Judge playing in the WBC this year helps him this year or hurts him this year?
Both. I think that it's going to potentially make him a little bit more gassed getting ramped up so early, but it could also get him locked in to where that mid-season swoon that he usually goes through may not happen.
Interesting point.
Well, let's be honest about it. The whole team goes through a mid-season swoon. The Boone swoon is real.
July comes and it's like they forget how to play baseball. It's like the aliens from Space Jam have shown up.
June. It starts in June.
Yeah, June to the first half of
August.
June through August, man. It's just horrible baseball. Horrible. Well, hopefully, on the infield, Danny Fiorito can fix some major problems over there.
Oh, I would love that.
I think he's going to be good for this team.
He's been part of the organization for years.
The Volpe whisperer.
Hopefully, he whispers something into his ear that the kid can go somewhere else. That's what I hope that he whispers.
You really hate him, don't you?
It's not. You know what it is. And this is a conversation we've had for multiple years now. And it's not that I hate him. I just don't like the bill of goods that we were sold with him. We were told originally that, I don't like the fact that, number one, that the business side of the business side of the Yankees took over the baseball side of the Yankees. That he is more that it was, it's a kid, a lifelong Yankee fan that only wanted to be a shortstop and born in Jersey. Where do we see this before? All right. So you start with that. Then you turn around and he's a really good. Look at what he can do. He can do 50 stolen bases in the minor leagues. He hits 20 home runs. He's got all this power, this pop. He's going to be elite. He could be he can be elite. He could be at top of the order type of guy. Guess what? Every time the first two seasons they put him in the top of the order, he has stunk. Absolutely stunk. Under 200 average. No pop, no nothing. Overall, and I've had this conversation with other people, and they'll say, "Oh, I like him because he can hit 250 and he's a 20-20 guy." I said, "Well, he's never hit 250. He's hit whatever semantics at 249, but he did 2020 one time. He's not a perennial 2020 guy. He goes through too many peaks and valleys. Like when he's on, and it's really like 2 weeks that he is hotter. He's hot. Like the bat is scorching hot. And then it goes down for another 6 weeks that he cannot buy a hit even if he had multi-billion dollars. That's why I don't like him. It's just the inconsistency part. He got a Gold Glove, great. His better year was his second year, not his first year. He probably should have won, but Bobby Witt Jr.'s there, and this is Bobby Witt Jr.'s world, and every shortstop's just vying for second place.
Yep.
But the fact of the matter is that there's a difference between Anthony Volpe defensively when you have like an Anthony Rizzo, a Paul Goldschmidt, a DJ LeMahieu, all three of them have Gold Gloves, then say like a Ben Rice there on a regular occasion. Because all of a sudden, those throws that Volpe can't make across the diamond, or those and that with his weak arm, they don't stick. And a guy like Ben Rice can't pick it. And that's not, unfortunately, I'm knocking both those guys at the same time, but Ben Rice is not really a first baseman. He can turn himself into a first baseman, but he's not one right now. So all of a sudden, all these blemishes that you see with Volpe, they're going to be magnified. So let's, I just want to say, like, he should have been put down in the minor leagues his rookie season. He should have been put down in the minor leagues at some point his second season when he was struggling beyond belief. He should have been benched this past season. And we all know that there's the injury. I don't care about the injury whatsoever. He was out on the field. He needs to perform. Simple as that. If he cannot perform, send him somewhere else to get fixed, to either legitimately get his shoulder fixed or to get his swing or his mental health fixed. They chose option C, which was do nothing but keep running him out there and running him into the ground. 3 years in a row now, you can tell he will get run into the ground. He is not the kind of kid that can last 160 games. He's not built for that. Give him literally give him 140, and he's good. As of right now, for me, I don't even say 140, but I would turn around and have him as my defensive replacement at the end of games. And that's right now shoddy for me too, because there's so many mental mistakes that he does in the field that gets covered up. Like if you watch him, he'll misplay balls, but he also does a lot better when you have rangy players around him, like Jazz. When you saw Jazz last year at third, when you saw McMahon at third base this year, those guys will take more baseballs going to their left than Volpe will going to his right. So you have him sandwiched between Jazz and sandwiched between McMahon is a good thing for him because he doesn't have a lot of responsibility to do anymore. As much as he tries to take over the field, maybe it's good for him to be a secondary player, a beta type of player instead. Let those other guys be the ones to get the ball and do everything. He kind of needs to find that role of he's not the big dog on the field, and he tries to play like that, and you can see that he falters all the time.
The crazy thing is
I don't want to
continue $5 million this year.
Go down the road of trashing, even though
So what I find funny,
they haven't given the number yet. He hasn't agreed to it. It was supposed to be like three projected amount between 3 and
his arbitration projected amounts $5 million.
So too funny,
like 3 to 5.
Hopefully. So two quick things that I saw that I thought was really funny. There was a clip running around social media that Volpe against Luis Ortiz of the Cleveland Guardians, and that literally Ortiz is betting against himself to throw balls, and Volpe is sitting there chasing and swinging at pitches out of the zone.
He just turns around and swears. I was like, could you make it any more obvious, my guy? Like,
so funny. But the other thing, and this is, in listening to you talk about Volpe, and especially with his defense, this is going to sound like a bit of a hot take, but he very much reminds me of a poor man's Omar Vizquel. In that Vizquel,
very poor.
No. So right here, but listen, check me out, right? Vizquel had no arm, right? So he had to do everything very quick, right? And Volpe is of that same thing of having to do everything very quick, but he's not as competent as Vizquel was defensively, right? So
Okay.
in that need to rush and that feeling that he has to rush because he knows he doesn't have the arm, right? Was the same thing with Vizquel. Vizquel knew he didn't have the arm to make those long throws, but he was quick. He was quick to the ball and he was quick to release it, but he was accurate. With Volpe, because he's so much in his head of having to be quick to try to get to the ball, quick to get it out, but then he overcompensates and then tries to overthrow it. And that's when he always gets himself in trouble. You sit there and you watch when he has extra time, he's patting the ball 2, 3, 4 times and then trying to heave it over there with no arm. So then he ends up lawn darting it. And even as good a defensive catcher as Paul Goldschmidt is, you saw how many times he was just completely handcuffed and had no way to actually save Volpe from those errors. And so that's the thought process in listening to you about how poor his defensive is that because he's trying to rush, but also at the same time trying to do more than what he's physically capable of with his arm.
Second
I agree with
base,
that.
my friend. Second base. That's why I've been saying for years, second base is where he should be. Scouts always say second base. Let's go down this road with it for a second here. Yankees offered him. So I know of 2 times the Yankees have offered up Anthony Volpe. The first time was to Washington Nationals for Juan Soto. And the GM at the time, I forget who it was, Mike something.
Mike Rizzo.
Thank you very much. Mike Rizzo laughed the Yankees out of the room. They said Anthony Volpe is one. He's not a shortstop. So don't give me this bill of goods to start the package with him at shortstop. He's a second baseman. All right. And then the second one was this past trade deadline. I heard a rumor that he was being offered up to the Twins. Also heard Jason Dominguez was being offered up to the Twins too. But Anthony Volpe was being offered to the Twins. So,
and before that was to the Reds for Luis Castillo.
Yeah, I would have done that in a heartbeat. But
same thing. The Reds said no. They valued what's his name more than oh God, who did they get from Seattle?
Oh, I know Noé Marte.
Yeah.
And Noé Marte is a good player. I mean, even though he got popped for PEDs also.
Yeah.
But Noé Marte has a strong arm, and Noé Marte can play shortstop, third base, goes in the outfield now too. Like he's a true utility player, and he's got a bat to him. So yeah. Like the Yankees are the only team that really have a high value of Anthony Volpe, and and I will say, like I've followed some people on Twitter. I've kind of been turned on, been kind of pushed along the lines of to follow some other people and read what some other people are writing up there, and it is from the top, like Hal and all the other minority owners, all through management. They love this kid. They think he's the best thing since sliced bread or the best thing since Aaron Judge, whichever way you want to call it. They think that this is one of their guys. If you ask me as a fan, I've seen 3 years of him. Okay, third year was my make or break year for him. Whatever you want to say about the injury, I think that after that it was a wrap for him this year. They're going to give him another chance. And going back to why you're saying I have all this angst and this non-love for him, or I don't look highly on Volpe. Could have had Gunnar Henderson instead of Anthony Volpe. Just remember this: you picked Anthony Volpe first, and Anthony Volpe was like a bottom of the top 100 in prospect going into the draft, and Gunnar Henderson was a top 25 guy, and they left Gunnar Henderson on the table. Gunnar Henderson is immensely better than Anthony Volpe.
I agree with that.
Immensely better. And my opinion is that they messed up that, because we wouldn't have to worry about any of these conversations if we got a Gunnar Henderson. George Lombard Jr. would be coming up next. Would sit more this year in Double A to Triple A. Comes up during the lockout, and he'll be going to second base if Gunnar Henderson is there. Done deal. We're getting Wandy Asian on January 15th. Mark that down, everybody. Was given hard numbers of 3.5 to 4.1 million. I've heard as high as 4.3 million, but just put into that frame. Wandy Seasons is a no joke shortstop coming out of the DR too.
He's 16 years old.
17.
Whatever.
17. Doesn't matter. But there's a difference. I'll go. We'll have another show where I'll go with a little bit more explanation about that. But he's coming in no joke. There's a lot of guys coming up from Latin America. If you pick them right, they're going to be no joke. Hell, look at Leo DeVries.
Yeah, they'll be great trade pieces.
Some can be, some can be, some can be just that Yankees don't develop them. But look at some of these guys that are coming through. They're coming in fast. Juan Soto in what, like it only took him a couple of years to get to the big leagues. He was in the big leagues at 19. And this is back when you signed on January 2nd, where you couldn't play that whole year, the rest of that year. So that's a whole another thing right there. But just think of how Yankees could have been set up for the future with Gunnar Henderson, mid-20s. Then you're getting George Lombard Jr. in his early 20s, and both of them would be in the middle of your infield. That's it for the next 10 to 15 years.
No, that makes too much sense. We don't want to do that.
No.
So I
just
think
like moving Jason Dominguez out of his normal spot in center field to the hardest left field in Major League Baseball, and say, oh, well, he's athletic enough, he should be doing this. Well, we don't have to give him reps out there. We're just going to throw him in there. Mind you, when he came up in 2023 as the center fielder. They moved everybody. They gave him the lane to center field. 2024. You coming off the injury? Cool. Okay, we're going to put Judge. We got Judge in center field. You got to go to left field, even though Verdugo can't do nothing. Couldn't hit water when he was in left field. They wouldn't play Trent Grisham in left field. Oh, we're going to give Jason over there. And what happened to him? Why can't he feel the ground ball out there? And Yankees do funny things.
We haven't had a legit left fielder since Brett Gardner. Watching clips of him play left field make me want to cry. Like, how have we? Because
he ran around. Because he was a good center fielder.
Yeah.
I miss Gardy.
Don't forget, Melky Cabrera was out there too. Melky Cabrera was really good too. I mean, I think Melky Cabrera actually pushed Johnny Damon to left field.
Oh yeah,
if you remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think to just kind of piggyback on your Volpe point, Mark, they wanted him to be Jeter. The story was built there for the PR portion of Anthony Volpe, the kid from Jersey. They grew up a Yankee fan. Like, they wanted to be the Yankee shortstop. Like, the story.
Don't forget the picture that's out there. The picture sealed the deal for that.
This organization has driven me nuts ever since Derek retired, because you saw what they tried to do. The same thing with, they wanted Eduardo Nunez to be the next Jeter. Then it was Didi. Then Glaber, which was a total disaster of its own.
It was really a second baseman.
And then Volpe, they got to get through their head. There is not going to be another Derek Jeter ever. It's not going to happen. So accept that and stop comparing everybody to him.
Oh, you're right about that. And man,
just let this kid go be his own person.
Yeah. Brian Cashman said it when they were calling up Gleyber Torres. He goes, "No, we don't see him as a shortstop. We see him as a second baseman." He said it from early on. He was a good. You know what? He was a good second baseman. Sometimes he had adventures. I mean, I think Gleyber Torres had his own issues. I mean, I think that one, moving to shortstop was a big problem for him, but two, his first 2 years with the juiced baseballs that were there, that really changed the way he thought he could be as a player. He thought he was. Yeah. He thought he was a home run dude because he was hitting first year 20-something home runs, which was awesome. Then 38 home runs in his second season, and then boom, they started. They took away the juice baseballs, and all of a sudden, he went from spraying the ball everywhere to trying to hit home runs, and all those home runs were just dying.
When you have people like Mitch Garver, who on average hit like 6 home runs a year, all of a sudden hitting 27, like something's not right here, guys.
The 2019 baseballs, remember that. And you want to know why? Because there was a good.
It was 17 through 19. It was a whole 3-year stretch.
Yeah, but the 19 ones were the craziest. Were wound so tight. And remember this: who were the free agents after that? During that season, we're coming out after that season. It was Strasburg, and it was Garrett Cole. 2 big names, and they all got big money. That's why when you see the whole thing about it is that if you have a lot of pitchers coming out for free agency that year, you're going to see a lot of wound balls that are wound tight. You got a lot of hitters coming up. Oh, guess what? We're going to soften these baseballs.
So who do you think we get from Japan? You think they get this kid Amani?
I would love to see him.
I don't say that. I jumped in and said no, like real fast as if like there's like I don't want him. No, I would love him on this team. He's not. He's like a number 2 or number 3 pitcher. But I think for the team, it's got to be Akamoto. Akamoto is the guy that they got to go for because I think because he's the right-handed bat. He can hit. He's got really good numbers for 93 and above on a fastball. He can play first. He can play third. He's contact oriented. That's exactly what this offense needs. And you can stick him stick him up front.
Yeah. After we did our offseason plan video, I started diving in more after your suggestion, Mark. And this guy he's a perfect fit. Literally, Akimoto is exactly what the Yankees need. A contact-oriented guy who plays first, who plays third. So now you can spell both Ben Rice and Ryan McMahon on those days where they're not trying to play with them. And we know that they don't like putting McMahon in there against lefties. Perfect time to put him in there against, put Akimoto in there. I would love to see the Yankees get both Akimoto and Imai, but
it's a lot of coin.
Yeah, but at the same point,
Akamoto's not going to cost that much. I said 3 for 40. I think when we were doing this, 3 for 40 or 3 for 42 or something like that. I've heard numbers of him going for underneath 40 million for 3 years.
How old is he?
29.
Yeah, but what I liked about him in looking at him after the fact was the contact portion, right? And Murakami is going to be the big name, bat coming from Japan, but all the reports are that he can't handle 93 and above. The Yankees already have way too much swing and miss. The simple fact is he already swung and missed too much in Japan, let alone if he starts seeing the higher velocity that's here now. That is going to be an absolute.
He's just like Yoshida. Yoshida has high strikeout rate too.
Yeah, but I think but Yoshida could handle the fastball, where if Murakami can't handle 93 and above, that's you have
like batting practice.
Exactly. You have no-name pitchers right now that are throwing 93 and above. Like everybody coming out of the bullpen is throwing above 95 or more. And so
a lot of starting pitchers are throwing 95 and above. Like
right.
It's a prerequisite to be in the mid 90s. I mean,
like the average mile per hour for pitchers now is like 98 to 100 miles an hour on average. So
you're talking you're talking in totality because I don't Because I was going to say I don't think that not to say anything about your stat, but I think the starting pitchers they don't keep it up revved up that high because they want to. I mean, it's not like the old days where you kind of hold stuff in the tank so you can get to the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. And nowadays it's like 5 and fly, man.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think when you look at the arms coming out of the pen, to me, every single pen arm is averaging between 98 and 100, right?
Except the Yankees.
Yeah, yeah. And this is the thing that really just kind of threw me with the Yankees. When you look at their bullpen, right? This is a bullpen that is all ground ball guys without the defense to support all ground ball guys. Like if you had that 2009 defense, cool, you can support a ball bullpen, but you don't have that. You need swing and miss. And to me, that's got to be one of the biggest priorities this offseason is revamping the entire bullpen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thanks for everybody tagging along and joining us on our resurrection from the grave. You catch us every week here on the Baseball Banter Broadcast Network. And we're going to have some fun this offseason. And hopefully we have a more productive offseason to be reporting on than what lies before us. But fingers crossed. So for Jeremy and Mark, David, Bronx Muchachos, we'll see you next week.